Welcome to Campfire Stories.
Pull up a little closer, friend. The fire's good tonight, and what I have for you comes from a lake so deep and so cold that even the locals treat it with a kind of respect you don't fully learn until you're standing at the edge of it. I'm Marty Shepherd, and this is Campfire Stories.
And I'm Carol, and I will tell you right now, Marty has been waiting to tell this one for a long time.
He has that look he gets.
The one that means he's already halfway into the story in his head.
She's not wrong. Tonight we're going to Okanagan Lake, British Columbia's crown jewel, a long blue finger of water pressed between the hills of the interior. Over 130 kilometers long, 150 meters deep in places. The kind of lake that on a calm summer morning looks like something out of a dream, and on an autumn afternoon looks like something you shouldn't cross alone. And living inside it, or so the story goes, is something people have been seeing and fearing and throwing offerings to for a very, very long time.
That's the part people don't always know, that this isn't a 1960s tourist gimmick. The Syilx people, the Okanagan Nation, they knew about this creature long before any settler ever floated a paddle wheeler across that lake.
That's exactly right. The Syilx called it Nha-a-itk, the lake demon, or, depending on how you translate it, the spirit of the lake. And they didn't treat it like folklore. They treated it like a fact of nature. Before anyone crossed the lake by canoe, offerings were thrown into the water, small animals sometimes to appease whatever lived below. There's a place near what we now call Peachland, a small island called Rattlesnake Island, and the Syilx believed that was its home. Not a metaphor. A home. With a cave beneath the waterline where it rested.
You know, when I hear that, I don't hear superstition. I hear people paying attention. They spent generations on that lake. If something was in there, they'd have known it.
And then the settlers came. The 1870s, 1880s, men and women carving farms out of the hills above the water. And strange things started happening. Livestock that waded in too deep would vanish, pulled under cleanly with no trace. A man named John McDougall was crossing the lake with his horses swimming behind the boat, and something grabbed those horses and pulled them down like they were paper toys. He cut the rope to save himself. He didn't know what else to do. He never really talked about it comfortably for the rest of his life, from what I've read.
I'd never talk about it comfortably either. I'd never go near that lake again, frankly.
Well, here's the thing about the Okanagan. It's one of the most beautiful places in Canada. People keep going near that lake. They can't help it. By the 1920s, Kelowna was a proper little city, and the sightings were coming in steadily. July of 1926, a Sunday afternoon, dozens of cars parked along the shore near Okanagan Mission, and people started pointing. A long, dark shape, moving against the current, rolling through the water. Not one or two witnesses. A crowd of them. Whole families. People who had no particular reason to agree with each other.
That's always the detail that gets me with Ogopogo. It's not one person alone at dusk who might have imagined something. It keeps being groups, clear days, sober people with nothing to gain.
And this is around the time the name Ogopogo got attached to it, from a music hall song of all things, a silly British ditty that got popular at a Rotary Club dinner and somehow stuck. The creature had survived thousands of years of genuine respect and mystery, and then some fellow in a blazer stood up at a banquet and gave it a name that sounds like a toy. I like to imagine Nha-a-itk didn't appreciate that.
Honestly, I'd be insulted.
The sightings keep coming through the decades. 1968. A man named Folden films something from the shore. A dark moving mass in the water. Consistent size, moving with purpose, not debris. The film gets analyzed and nobody can explain it away cleanly. 2011, A couple of fellows pick it up on an iPhone, a long shadow beneath the surface, undulating 30 or 40 feet at least. Every few years, someone adds another data point and the file stays open.
You know what I keep thinking about? There's a moment in every good monster story, Hitchcock knew this, where the most frightening thing isn't what you see, it's the moment just before. The surface that's a little too still. That's Okanagan Lake for me.
Hitchcock would have loved that lake. Long shots down the length of it, nothing moving. And you're right about the stillness. People who've had encounters almost always mention that first. A calm that feels slightly wrong. Then a disturbance that's too large and too purposeful to be wind or wake. The creature, whatever it is described consistently across more than a century. Long, dark, serpentine, 30 to 50 feet, with a horse-like or goat-like head, humps along the back. It doesn't vary much, story to story, era to era. That consistency is either very compelling or very suspicious, depending on your disposition.
I come down on compelling because here's what I think about. That lake is genuinely enormous. Scientists have said it could theoretically support a large undiscovered animal. It's cold and it's deep, and there are underwater channels we don't fully understand. We don't have to decide it's impossible just because we haven't caught one.
And we've looked a little. Sonar sweeps over the years have found some interesting anomalies, large moving shapes at depth, signatures that don't match the fish populations. Nothing conclusive. Which is, I suppose, on brand for Ogopogo. One researcher I read about said the honest answer is that Okanagan Lake is simply understudied for its size. We know more about some stretches of ocean than we know about what's in that water.
Marty, tell them about the family. The one from the 90s.
The Chaplin family, 1992. A woman named Doris Chaplin, out on the lake with family, looked over the side of the boat and saw it alongside them. Close. Clear. She described it as gentle-looking almost, which is not the word you expect. Not menacing. Just present. Moving with them for a few minutes, then gone. She was matter-of-fact about it in interviews. She wasn't trying to sell anything. She just said, it was there, it looked at us, and then it wasn't there anymore.
Gentle looking. That's the word that stays with me. That one word does more for me than any blurry photograph. Because it sounds like someone reporting what they actually saw, not what they expected to see.
There's a word in the Syilx tradition, and I want to be careful here because I'm working from what I've read, not from any standing in that culture. But the sense is that Nha-a-itk was not simply a monster. It was a guardian. Something whose presence meant the lake had power and the lake had rules. You respected it, you gave to it, and it let you pass. And what I find moving about that, sitting here, is that for all our sonar and our iPhones and our Rotary Club names, the basic relationship hasn't changed. People still feel something on that lake. Still lower their voices a little when they talk about it. Still look twice at a ripple that's just slightly too big.
That's what good stories do, isn't it? They carry something real across a very long time. The name changes, the cameras get better, and somehow the feeling stays exactly the same.
Some mysteries, I think, aren't meant to be closed. They're meant to be kept. Okanagan Lake holds a lot of cold, dark water and a lot of deep time, and maybe what's in it is a creature, and maybe what's in it is a memory, and maybe if you're standing at the shore on a still autumn morning and the water does something you can't quite explain, maybe those two things aren't so different. I'm Marty Shepherd.
And I'm Carol. The next time you're driving through the Okanagan, you pull over at the lake for a minute. Look out at it. You'll feel it, that thing Marty's talking about. The lake looking back. Sleep warm, friends.